You either use the internet for fun or you use the internet to grow. You're here to grow. Welcome to TRS Clips.
We operate mostly only at night only, in complete darkness. So, and we operate in buddy pairs, like two guys, like that. So me and my buddy were sitting on this very, very extremely dangerous place, and we were doing a job that we had come for, and it was all about waiting. So
Dangerous because of human beings.
yeah, so it's like enemy or whatever. So you're sitting there and you're waiting. So at that point of time, it was my turn. So we give sentry duties, right? Guard. So because you have to sleep as well. So we have like 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the kind of threat perception there is there, and depending on the kind of operation, depending on the kind of circumstances, your length of duty expands or contracts, whatever. What is the need of that particular op? So I was sitting there, and it was my turn, and I was बैठा हुआ था, and I had a night vision goggle hanging around my neck, and my weapon was on my lap. And like you sit in a yoga position, and you fold your legs and you sit like that. So I was sitting like that, and on my lap was my weapon, and I was staring into the darkness. There was a particular place I had to look at, and I was just constantly just looking at that and waiting. So my buddy was asleep, and maybe hour and a half had passed, and I was just waiting and waiting, and I heard some noise right next to me, like a foot away or something, 2 feet away or whatever. So I just heard a noise. So I couldn't see, it was pitch black. So I switched on my night vision goggles, and ऐसे मैंने ऐसे check किया, and I turned to look, and I saw this leopard sitting right next to me. So like where this flower pot is. So उसको ऐसे देखा, and this is the first time I saw a leopard, like, and मतलब मैंने शायद zoo में भी I have not seen a leopard or whatever. So I saw this fellow sitting right next to me, and he was staring at the same place I was staring at for the last hour and a half. He was also looking there only.
How far was he? Less than a meter.
He was sitting here, yeah, less than a meter. So he was just sitting there. He was sitting on his haunches, and he was upright, and he was just sitting and he was just looking at where I was looking.
One leopard next to another leopard.
I don't know, one animal next to another animal. I saw this fellow like this, and then I took the night vision goggle, and my weapon was pointing ahead. So I turned my weapon's barrel towards this fellow and switched the safety off and put my finger on the trigger and waited. If it kills me, or if it attacks me, I'll kill it first. I was just sitting and waiting. And about 4 or 5 minutes, I just kept sitting there, and then slowly got up and walked off. And so that's one thing. And then when I reflected back, I realized that where we were operating, there were a lot of scorpions, there were snakes, there were this. And we're constantly in that kind of terrain, and we never got bitten. No snake has bitten me, no scorpion has bitten me, nothing. And very, very, very rare is it that somebody gets bitten by something or something gets attacked. Hota hai. It happens. There have been bears who have attacked our team. There's my second in command was there. He was attacked by a bear. The bear basically got onto it and was trying to catch his neck.
Hold this whole story. I'm so sorry, listeners. But dial it back to the leopard.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the bear as well.
Yeah, please.
See, this is so difficult as a podcaster, right? Because I want to know. What were you thinking about with the leopard?
I wasn't thinking anything. If it attacks, then I will have to kill it.
What's the consciousness exchange there?
So it's like in the world, like for example, you and me, right? When you have a different life, I have a different life, you're doing different things, I'm doing different things, etc., etc. But when we come and sit in one space, we find what's common amongst us, and we settle into that commonality, and a new dimension opens where, we can be one and do the same thing, head in the same direction.
What's happening on this podcast?
Yes. So exactly is how is that leopard and me were sitting. He was also peaceful with me. I was not an anomaly in his environment. And obviously he was not an anomaly. He or she, I don't know, was not an anomaly in her environment. She was just sitting. So we were both in alignment, both in peace, and both both just looking at the same thing.
But
That's
animals
all.
can sense fear.
So animals, I believe, or I don't know if it's right or wrong, but what I believe is that animals have lesser bullshit to think about, right? So animals don't think all these things ki kal kya hai, what happened, going to happen tomorrow, what happened yesterday, what is going to happen 1 hour from now, nothing. They operate on instinct, and instinct is where the spiritual dimension or the real dimension really lies. So they operate beyond judgment. They have no judgment of right and wrong, good and bad, happy and sad, and all of these things. They just do what they do, what they're built for, and they play out that. So they, in a way, people would say that animals are a lower consciousness, but my opinion is that animals are a more relaxed and more higher consciousness. That's why they don't carry compare an animal with a yogi, for example, right? Like a spiritual person, like a saint or a master or a Buddha or whatever. So what does spirituality really say? Spirituality says, get out of your mind. That's what it says. So when your mind melts away and dissolves off, you are left with what you are. There is no duality of God and human. There is no concept of God and human. It centers out into what you are, and then that opens up new realms of magic and dimensions and vagara vagara. And so animals also don't have too many thoughts. I suppose they are operating on instinct. So they don't. Where does the so-called Maya or the Matrix or whatever lie? It lies in the mind, and it is made up of thoughts. Those thoughts lead to actions, and duality manifests itself into matter as per the kind of thoughts and actions you take. So that's where mind creates matter, or mind creates circumstances, and how those circumstances align and are designed, etc., etc. But animals don't operate like that. Like, animals don't think, they know mind, right? So what is there is no duality. What is. So that's how animals are. And when special forces and soldiers, when they are in combat, there is the more advanced, the more experienced NSF guy, you would find him in the moment,
Calmer.
not thinking, because thinking is where tensions lie. Thinking is where limitations are. Thinking is where construct is. Thinking is where the framework or the prison or whatever is of your
That's
own. Yes,
so true.
yeah. So in that particular case, since I was also not thinking, and the Leopard was also not thinking, and we were just very much immersed in not only the physical surroundings, but in the now of the moment itself. So there was a peace. He was sitting doing his thing, I was sitting doing my thing. And in fact, probably if I think of it, animals like that don't come so close to human beings. But like an SF soldier, if you see, you would not have taken bath for weeks, 2-3 weeks, you have not cleaned your body, you have not brushed your teeth, you have sweated so many times, and the smell of the forest itself and everything. So you are going into your natural state, and you align with nature, you align with the forest itself, you start smelling like the forest. So you're a familiar smell to the animal.
New clips released at the same time that a podcast releases. This is TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe.